Rise with India podcast on ET Now.
Good morning and thanks for listening in. This is the Daily Morning Update from ET Now and I'm Alex Matthew. Today is the 1st of September. The Indian economy grew at a record pace in the first quarter of the current financial year when compared with the same quarter a year ago. Remember that was when the country was in full lockdown mode. On a sequential basis, the economy contracted as the pace of economic recovery was hit by localized lockdowns that were taken to counter the impact of the second wave of the pandemic. GDP in the first quarter rose by 20.1%, according to data published by the National Statistical Office on Tuesday. GVA growth in the first quarter was at 18.8%. Sticking with news on the economy, the government's fiscal deficit in the first 4 months of the financial year stood at 3.2 lakh crore. That's just 21.3% of the budget estimate for the year. This is a significant improvement from the previous year, but again remember, revenue collection by the government had taken a big hit last year on account of the lockdown. In the comparable period a year ago, the fiscal deficit had stood at 103.1%. Moving on, in a strongly worded order, the Mumbai bench of the National Company Law Tribunal has directed the interim attachment of all movable and immovable properties of promoters, directors and other key management personnel of 8 Videocon Group companies. The order includes 30 individuals, including Venugopal Dhoot, his wife and son. In the auto space, Maruti Suzuki, the country's largest car maker, expects output to plunge next month as the semiconductor shortage hits production. Total volume could be about 40% of normal output. That's according to an exchange filing by the company. This comes at a time when auto companies normally bolster output to meet higher demand during the festive season. Supply constraints have resulted in waiting periods rising substantially and discounts being slashed for popular models. In other news, the Board of Control for Cricket in India, or the BCCI, has started the process to introduce 2 new franchises in the next season of the Indian Premier League. Interested parties can participate by buying the invitation to tender for a non-refundable amount of 10 lakh till the 5th of October. And in international news, President Joe Biden has defended the US pullout from Afghanistan as concerns over the country's fate and the impact from those fleeing the Taliban mount. The president praised the evacuation of 120,000 people and rejected criticism that the exit was mishandled. Elsewhere, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that countries needed to provide rapid aid, noting that almost half of the Afghan population, that is 18 million people, need assistance in order to survive. And with that, it's over to Rohit Singh for the trade setup for the day in India. Morning, Rohit. How are we looking today?
Good morning, Alex. Market signed off the month with an 8% uptick, the best we've seen this year. And on top of it, we closed above 17,000 for the first time. The 20% GDP rebound in Q1 will offer further support to the momentum this morning. The robust vaccination effort, clocking a new daily high, will also strengthen the mood. This upmove has also prompted a spike in the measure of volatility, but the options data is hinting at a wider range of up to 17,500. The broader market too extended gains, with the mid-cap index closing higher for the 15th month in a row. The IT index too has not had it this good since July last year. FIs were behind the big up move on index, buying shares worth close to 4,000 crore rupees. DIIs, however, chose to book profit with a 1,900 crore rupees sell figure. US stocks slipped overnight but rallied almost 3% for the month. This is the best monthly gain since April for S&P 500. Later this week, investors will scan through the jobs report to better understand the recovery. Let's tell you about the active stocks this morning. Maruti has said that it fears production volume in both Haryana and Gujarat plant will be at 40% of normal levels as the semiconductor shortage bites the industry. Keep an eye on automotive shares. Commercial vehicles and two-wheelers are likely to report strong sales in August. AU Small Finance continues to be in focus after its chief risk officer resigned over personal reasons. The board has approved his replacement, but the share fell almost 13%. Infibeam is in talks with US PE firm Bernstein to sell a substantial stake according to news reports. The shares have rallied 20% on this buzz. Shoppers Stop has sold one of its units, the Crossword bookstore, at a gross business valuation of 42 crore rupees. Indian Navy has signed a contract with BEL for supply of naval anti-drone system. Minister Nitin Gadkari has said that the government plans to make it mandatory for automakers to offer biofuel vehicles in 6 months. To recap, market participants say the ongoing momentum could take Nifty up to 17,200. But for 2 days, we have been witnessing over 200-point rallies on Nifty, suggesting caution would not be without its merit. That's all from my end. Thank you for listening in. It's back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Rohit. And as always, thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day.
The Rise with India podcast on ET Now.